Well, everyone, here we are in the year of our Lord Todd Howard 2024, trying AC Syndicate again. And you might be wondering why, pray tell, Luke, you are doing this. It's because Ubisoft just announced late last night that they are adding support for native 4K resolutions on the console version of AC Syndicate and 60 FPS support as well, which until now has not been possible in this game. Until now, it's been locked at the original launch resolution on PlayStation, capped at 30 frames. On Xbox, my understanding is that there was a way to get improved performance with the backwards compatibility stuff that they did, though that has not helped Black Flag, I don't think. But on PlayStation, nonetheless, they have been very limited, and it's seen no improvements made even to this day. But this marks the very first time that they're actually overhauling it. And now you can see it transitions out of the cutscene into real-time footage, and it's running at 4K at 60 frames, and it looks, I mean, it looks pretty good. I'll give them that. Look at this. Okay. So there's a couple of little tidbits here that I want to point out and discuss as we go through this. But first and foremost, I do want to just say AC Syndicate is one of those games that I understand some people just didn't eat up. They didn't like it, and that's totally fine. But that's mainly because it came at a really weird time in the franchise's history. It came during the kind of aftermath of AC Unity, which of course was an unmitigated disaster. I mean, it imploded. It had so many technical issues. It became a meme. It was a wreck. And as a result, a lot of people were just turned off to AC, especially in light of those events. So Syndicate, no matter how good it was going to be, was never going to really pop off and find a lot of success. It was just fighting an uphill battle from the outset. And that's kind of what we saw. I mean, it didn't sell particularly well. Ubisoft didn't really talk about it, and they kind of ignored it as the black sheep of the family for years and years and years, which is why it never received those updates that other games did. But now it has, and I'm thinking part of that might be because the team that's making AC Shadows is the same team that made this game. They also, of course, made AC Odyssey, which they made after this, but this is the last time that Ubisoft tried a dual protagonist game with Jacob and Evie Fry, and they're going to be doing the same thing with Shadows early next year with Yasuke and Naoe. In both games, you know, Jacob and Yasuke are the melee-focused fighters. They are targeting a more in-your-face approach to encounters, and then Evie and Naoe are supposed to be more stealthy. In my experience, like Syndicate, looking back on it now, I really prefer playing as Evie Fry instead of Jacob. Jacob is just too bombastic for me. Like, he takes nothing seriously. Everything's a joke. Everything's silly and stupid. And it makes it kind of hard to root for him in serious story beats because everything is just a joke. It's kind of like, you know, Marvel writing before Marvel was big, because this was 2015. So I guess it was big. It was still big around that time. But, you know, before that became a problem in and of itself, the like really hyper sarcastic writing was certainly here with Jacob Fry as well. So he's just not my personal favorite when it comes to protagonists. What I will say, though, is that the setting of AC Syndicate is one of my favorites in the franchise. I eat this up. I mean, I just like the setting. I like Victorian London. I love me some Sweeney Todd. You know, I eat this stuff up. I love it. And it's too bad that Ubisoft, in reaction to the Unity debacle, they kind of threw the baby out with the bathwater, in my opinion. Like, they heard that people hated Unity or were very upset with Unity at the very least. And they said, okay. So what was Unity? It was like semi-modern. We had, you know, a game set in the French Revolution, so only a few centuries old. So let's cut that. Let's go ancient. Let's go all the way back to like the Ptolemaic period of Egypt. Let's do that. Then let's go to ancient Greece, and let's just rewind the clocks completely. And, oh, you had stealth stuff. Let's cut all the stealth stuff. Oh, you had black box missions. Cut all of that. Like, everything that was even remotely associated with Unity, they cut and abandoned. And I understand why, like they were trying to reinvent it. They were trying to do something totally fresh and different. And I can, again, appreciate that desire to start fresh. But I do think it was unfortunate because one of the other things they did is they cut out some of the nuance with gameplay. So you can see free running here, you can see in the bottom right, when I hold down right trigger, it opens up a little contextual menu. X is free run up, circle is free run down. And that allows for much more nuance in the control, where just holding down right trigger allows you to just free run. But if you want to jump for something, you can hold down A and he'll climb up and jump up, or you can hold down circle and he'll go down, not A, X. I'm used to Xbox controllers, but you can see just how much finer the control was within the free running system, just based on how they had the control schemes working. And that's something that they also abandoned. They totally cut it out. And with Origins, that was pretty much replaced with a single button. You run at the wall, you hold down X or A, and you call it a day. Like that's all you have to do to free run. There's no more nuance to it than that. That's all there is to it. There was also this shift towards manually selecting when you wanted to stealth versus not. So you can actually like go back and forth by tapping X between stealth and more typical exploration. Like again, there's just so much nuance here, so much focus on stealth that you just don't see in the franchise anymore. And it's really too bad in my opinion. You know, I get it. They sold very well. Valhalla sold really well, but that doesn't mean that I can't appreciate what this game did, because this game did do a lot of stuff that was very, very different, very classical when it came to Assassin's Creed. You know, just classical AC. And then look at this. We got to do an assassination. Okay, so we got to go in there. We scan it with our eagle vision. We're going to get up on top of this. I remember this mission. We're playing, of course, on PlayStation, but I primarily played this on PC and Xbox back in the day. So this is a fresh save file. If I scan, we can get a little closer. Okay, we're going to have to go around this way. And here he is. Our target in his office. That's the man.
Mr. Ferris, sir. The lad in the factory should be taken to be bandaged by the apothecary.
Fine. But dock his wages.
Yes, sir.
What an evil businessman. Let's kill him. Sorry. It's just sometimes like the writing for like big bad evil businessman, it does start to sound a little ridiculous, where it's like, no extensive PTO. Okay, we're gonna kill him. It's like it goes 0 to 60 real quick when you kind of back off out of the video game mentality, and it always makes me chuckle. Okay, we're going stealth mode. We're going in. Thwip. Got him. I do remember throwing knives being totally broken in this game. Like totally broken. Honestly, they were broken in a lot of Assassin's Creed games for a long time. They just, insta-kill anybody who touches them, but there you go. This also reminds me of the steel mill in Batman Arkham City. You know what I'm talking about? The Joker steel mill. This is reminding me of that a lot. Probably, and I'm going out on a limb here, because it's a steel mill. That might be part of the reason why, but anyway, here we are. We go in here, we jump up to the very tip top of the building where we have an entry point marked, because again, this was a game that had stealth stuff where there were multiple routes that you could go through. Isn't that crazy? Isn't that novel? And here is our target. He's dictating a letter to his secretary, and we're just going to jump down, assassinate him, and boom, we completed our first contract. Baller. But listen, the main reason we're playing this today is not just to go and revisit it for nostalgia's sake. It's also because of this 4K 60 FPS update and what that may mean or suggest. As of today, the last game that does not run in the Assassin's Creed franchise, like the core modern franchises, that doesn't run at 60 on Xbox is Black Flag. That one, my understanding is it's still locked at 30, and I don't think they're going to change that, because I mean, it's all but confirmed that they're doing a remake of that game. So I don't think we see any 60 FPS update for Black Flag. Maybe that's cynical of me, but it just makes too much sense for them to sit on it and then eventually they'll come back and do a remake and sell it to you that way. But with this, seeing them add the support, I think is great to see. I hope that Ubisoft is starting to realize that they need to keep fans happy, that they need to give fans what they want, that they can't just rely or take for granted their support financially. They have to win it over. They have to earn it. And doing little bitty things like this, which just honestly are good and are pro-consumer, to update games, to make them even more playable and more effective for modern audiences. I think that that's a great thing to do, and I'm glad to see them doing it here. You know, I can understand how some people could be like, oh, well, it's not a great use of resources, company resources. I get that, sure, but I also think it's great to preserve these games for posterity, you know, as the years go by. And so I'm glad that they're doing this, and I hope they do it for other games as well in their catalog, because free updates that make these games even better and more playable are always a good thing. I want to get away from this crazy smoke. I can't see anything. Let's run over here. But I mean, this 60 FPS, like, come on, looks pretty good. Welcome to 60 FPS, console players. Isn't it great? You should join us more often. You'll also notice that this combat is much stiffer than you might be used to seeing in the AC franchise for modern games. That's because this combat system is what is known as a paired animation combat system. So it's not actually like modern games that have like straightforward combat systems, which are hitbox based, where you have to move your character, take a swipe at somebody, and if you miss them, then you know, you just don't connect and don't deal damage. In this game, if you're within a certain range and you do an attack when they are blocking, then it doesn't go through. If you like parry at the time they're attacking, then a different animation plays out. And functionally, the game works much more like rock, paper, scissors than a traditional combat system that you might be used to. This is one thing I think was a really good change when they moved over to a hitbox-based combat system for Assassin's Creed Origins. I like it a lot more, and I think it works a lot better. And I mean, that was kind of cool. A little Uncharted 2 sequence right here. But right there, yeah, see, we seem to have made an unscheduled stop. See what I mean with like the sarcastic humor? Like, the train just crashed. Potentially many people just died or could have died. And he's like, how inconvenient. I'm like, shut up, dude. There's a lot of these types of things in video games. So I don't want to seem like I'm just a total boomer, even though maybe I am. But like video game characters that don't take anything seriously, I like actively detest. It drives me crazy, especially when you want me to take your story seriously. But anyway, we walk down here, we jump down, and we continue on our way. But you can see, of course, we're swapping back and forth between pre-rendered cutscenes, which of course are rendered at 30 at lower resolutions. That would have been more appropriate back in 2015 when the game launched. And then we go to real-time gameplay sequences, which run at the full 4K 60. But here we are with the queen herself, the stealth-focused character, Miss Evie Fry. Assassinate! Brat. Love it. I greatly prefer going through sequences as her. I think that she works way better as an assassin. I know there's some purists out there that are like, no, I love them both equally. But no, I'm unapologetic in my love for Evie over Jacob. Brah! Isn't that cool? I will say the one benefit of the paired animation combat system is that you can have some really, really cool finishers that you traditionally don't have in these types of games with hitbox-based combat systems. Some really good combat systems can meld the two, so you can have like really cool finishers mixed in with hitbox-based combat, but it's much less common in like fully open world games with a ton of different enemies and stuff like that, because it's just too much to keep track of. But you know, so I'm not fighting people, I'm just pushing on through. It's because I'm a pro. Man, I will tell you what, I do really miss these more modern Assassin's Creed games, though. Like, the ancient stuff is fine, you know, because I remember hearing an interview where one of the designers said, the benefit of us going really far back in history is that we have less, like, we're less burdened by modernity. We don't have to worry about, oh, we reference this political movement that maybe people hold to nowadays, and that's going to piss some people off. Or, oh, we don't have to worry about realistically recreating this city that still exists to this day. They can just kind of take a lot more creative liberties, which is true, You know, I think they learned the hard way that that's not totally, you know, a ticket to just do whatever you want with AC Shadows, as we've seen. But here we are, nonetheless. I understand, again, why they made the pivot, but I do miss these older games because they just strike the right nerve for me. You know, they scratch the itch, and I love them. Granted, I'm biased because I love these old school games. I played these when I was like a teenager, but still, I eat them up. But all in all, I think it's a really nice thing that they're doing these improvements all these years after launch. Is it perfect? No. I mean, like, the one thing is the cloth sim is still limited to 30, whereas the rest of the game runs at 60. Is that a big deal? Like, personally, to me, not really. But, you know, especially, it's a free update. Beggars can't really be choosers at the end of the day. And in this case, we're getting a free update. It doesn't have every bell and whistle, but that's also, you know, maybe not that fair to expect. But man, if you were looking to get back into Assassin's Creed Syndicate again, this could be a very good time to do it, because on console it runs better than it literally ever has. If you have a PC, you can definitely crank some of the dials and enjoy like less dramatic pop in and little improvements like that. But on the whole, it's a good time to be a fan of AC Syndicate, I guess. But with that, thank you for watching. I love you all desperately. I'll see you on stream tomorrow. Buckle up. It's going to be a fun one. See you then. Bye.